Hi everybody, very welcome to yet another live stream here on YouTube. I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic out there wherever you are, and I hope that you have liked the vlogs that I've started to do. It's a new project that I'm doing. I am trying to record anytime anything interesting happens, and then I will put them into a vlog format, which is going to get better and better and better. I'm using all of the help from my Patreons, which I really love. Mwah! If you guys are out there. I'm using the financial help from my Patreons to buy some stuff that will make the vlogs much better, guys. So you can expect the quality to go up, the sound quality to go up, and everything surrounding the vlogs to go up. And my idea is that I'm going to do vlogs, a lot of them, because they take much less time to prepare. And then I will put them into the Mentour Aviation app. All of them is going to be inside there, and then when there's something really interesting happening, then maybe one or two is going to come out on YouTube every week, if there is enough material for that to happen. So you can expect a little bit of it come out to YouTube, the bulk of it to come up inside of the Mentour Aviation app. So make sure that you have that, and make sure you're using that now to ask your questions as well. So let's see who's here. Ibrahim, Mustafa, good to see you here, man. And Notke, Maikosh, Skyflyer, A320. Great, it's always great to have you here. And as you've noticed, guys, I'm doing it a little bit earlier today, and I'm sure you're aware the reason for that. I'm working earliest tomorrow from Barcelona. Yay! So that means that I'm getting up at like 3 o'clock tomorrow morning to drive to Barcelona and then start working out of there. Doing 4 sectors tomorrow, 4 sectors today after that, and 4 sectors today after that. So this week I'm actually going to just get myself a hotel and stay in Barcelona because it's just too much to drive forth and back. But tomorrow I am going to fly to Venice, and it looks like there might be a possibility of snow there, which is going to make it interesting. So that might make a great kind of source for a vlog. And then I'm going to fly to Palermo. I'm going to fly to Palma de Mallorca, which is like a 30 minutes flight from Barcelona. So that will also be interesting. However, I don't think there's enough time to actually get much down on video on that short flight. So, as always, guys, if you have questions for me that you really want me to answer, then use the super chat. That's the little $ that you see below your chat window here on YouTube. That will cost you a little bit of money. It will send that money to my channel and help me to produce better videos. And I guarantee that I will be answering all of the super chat questions that come in. Then, as you can see, my Mentour Aviation chat is already filling up with questions, so that's where I'm going to take the bulk of the questions when there's no super chat questions, and then I will answer your questions here in the chat when there's time over for that. We'll see how long I can go. My wife wants me to start cooking dinner soon. She goes by the name of Mentour Wife, by the way, in the app. So if you want to talk to her, then that's the... Oh, and by the way, guys, if you think that I've been less active, both in the app and in on my Facebook page and on Instagram especially, it's because my phone broke. All right, I answered some questions in my iPhone 6s that I had, and then it just stopped working. Okay, it's completely dead. So I've had to send that in, and obviously it's holidays now, so I don't have any phone, and I have all the programs, all the contacts, everything on there. So at the moment I'm using my wife's nice pink iPhone, but she doesn't have any of my programs and none of my contacts or anything, and obviously I can't kick her out of Facebook. So that's why. And as soon as I get my phone back, I'm going to start pushing out and start helping out and start answering questions again. Right, Mentor, oh my god, news, Mentor, I have a job as a pilot. Congratulations, great to hear. Tell me more about it. Go into the Mentour Aviation chat later on and send me some messages and tell me all about it. Tell me how you got through the selection process and everything. That's great news, oh my god, news. Malik Aviation asking, how often do you see UFOs? That's only happened a few times. It's very rare. If you mean by UFOs, unidentified flying objects, then I have only really seen it once. It was some really strange lighting phenomenon going up over the Alps in a place where there just couldn't be any other aircraft, and the lights had did not look anything like the normal navigational lights and strobe lights and stuff that you are used to seeing. So. apart from that, all the light phenomenon that I've seen, you could easily discard as something else or explain as something else. So UFOs, we all see stuff. You know, if you spend as much time as we do in the air, you'll see lighting phenomenon, but most of them can be easily explained, right? So I hope that answers your questions about that. Les Chase, thank you very much. You are the first one to go into the super chat. Thank you for your help and for your contribution. Now I see that you haven't put a question in. Sometimes that happens, and if that's the case, then I want you to go in and you put Alpha Mentor in the Mentour Aviation app. That will send me a push message after this, okay? Because now I'm getting loads of them, but after this is done, and I'm going to answer your question there, which you have one. Mentor, how's the pilot training in the Middle East for Doha and Qatar? I don't know. I haven't done the pilot training there, but I can expect it to be excellent, because what they do in the Middle East normally is that they pay a lot of money for flight instructors to come down. So I would expect the flight instruction once you get in there to be absolutely excellent. So if you can get accepted, or if you can afford it, because I'm guessing it's going to cost you a little bit of money as well, then go for it. I wouldn't be basically anytime you have a flight school that is connected to a major airline, you don't really have to worry that much about the quality, because quality is going to be good. What you normally have to worry about is actually getting accepted into it and paying for it in some cases. So go for that. Best of luck, man. What are the job opportunities like in Europe? At the moment, they're absolutely excellent, but you also have to be aware that it's different depending on how much experience you have. All right. So, for example, for me, it's very good. Right. At the moment, there are job offerings everywhere, both for European airlines, but also for Asian airlines, for Middle Eastern airlines. I haven't seen any from South America yet, but there are job offerings everywhere for people who have experience on type and heavy jet experience. Now, as a cadet with low hours that you are going to be when you go through flight school and get in, it's always going to be tough. All right, but what you have to remember is that if the industry is good for the people at the top, it means that those people are going to be moving. All right, those are going to be spreading out all over the world, and they are going to be cherry picked out by the major airlines. But that means that the airlines that they came from now have job openings. So it's always good when there's a lot of job opportunities, even for experienced pilot, because it means that the other airlines, the airlines that are feeding the major carriers, they are constantly going to need pilots. And you can see that, for example, with EasyJet, Ryanair, Norwegian, they are recruiting like crazy at the moment. Hundreds and hundreds of low-hour cadets are going into these airlines, and that is a good sign. All right, it doesn't mean that they are paying for it. Unfortunately, that's the next step. We're hoping that the airlines are going to start taking more financial responsibility for the training. But at the moment, you can see some signs of it. I did a video about the APC scheme that Ryanair is running. Now, I have heard that there's some problems with the email address that I had in there. I've sent that on to Ryanair to ask them what's going on, but so far I haven't had any response back to that. But the course is running. There are students that are being produced by that APC course, and that APC course is basically a combined jet orientation course, MCC course, and a type rating for around 5,000 euros. But then the rest of the cost of that course is being then taken as part of a bond that can be either 3 years or 6 years. So that's a good sign, right? That's a sign of something starting to move. The same Titan Airways did a very similar scheme where they just took in people for tests, and then some people were accepted and then taken in, and Titan paid for their training once they were accepted in. So we're starting to see the first kind of signs that they're actually, the airlines are actually starting to pay for stuff, and that's very good. All right. During my almost 16 years in this business, we haven't seen any of that up until now. Okay, so the fact that they're doing that is great. So yes, the job opportunities, they are good at the moment. We don't know, you never know what Trump will do. You never know what Kim Jong-un will do. You never know what happens to the oil prices, what happens down in the Middle East. If there's a major crisis, then this industry can be turned on its head very quickly. But at the moment, it looks very good. Cool, Jonathan Recco, thank you very much in the super chat. So Jonathan has a question here. Good day. Can you start putting what songs you use in your videos and vlogs in the description? Also, what is the best advice for student pilots? I can. I am using, basically it's very easy because I'm only using songs that are non-copyrighted. Obviously, they're available freely in the YouTube song library. So if you go in your creator page, there's going to be a library full with different songs, and they're all there. Okay. Anytime I'm using something that's copyrighted, or if coming from someone who's a creator who's making music, then obviously I'm putting it up as a credit. But since these songs are completely free and without any credits, I haven't been doing it so far. But my intro, for example, is called Big Cars. Easy to find, just look for that. There are other music as well. So we'll see. If I can remember it, I will do it. All right. What's your best advice to student pilots? Do proper research. Okay. 1, research the school. All the schools, not just the schools close to you, but schools everywhere in the area where you are hoping to get your license. So in Europe, check the entire Europe. Okay. Don't go for the cheapest one. Okay, don't go for the cheapest one without being really careful. I would say that be very careful with any school who's asking for less than 50,000 euro for an integrated course, right? Anything less than 50, 55, be very careful. Check it properly, okay? Then, do a pilot assessment test somewhere, okay? The school, if it's a good quality school, they will do it. All right, they will ask you to go through some tests before they let you join. Some of the cheaper schools that maybe just wants to get pilots in might not do that, and I'd advise you to do that anyway, because before you get a job, you will have to do that anyway. So you might go through the entire training, get all of the license, and then you'll be put into one of these pilot assessments, and you fail it, and you've spent all the money. All right, don't put yourself in that situation. Go and do it before, so that the psychologists that are doing the test can tell you, listen, you need to get better at this, you need to improve this, or no, you have something in your personality that will stop you from being successful. At least, even though that might be the worst thing you can ever hear, the worst day in your life, it is still better than getting that told to you after you've spent 100,000 euros in your training. Right. Then, once you start, resilience. This is not going to be easy. It's going to be hard work. You're going to need all of the resilience you have, all of the support from your family that you have. So make sure that they are aware of what you're going to go through, because you can do this training in only 2 years. But believe me, there's 14 subjects of ATPL theory that you're going to have to go through, plus your training and your flight tests and everything. So, be resilient. Know that you will have bumps. There will be days that are going really well. There will be days that are not going so well. But believe in yourself and keep working forward. The same goes for when you're looking for your first job. Right? That won't be easy either. You're going to have to work hard for that. So keep pushing. Resilience is your number 1 asset. Okay? So those are the top 3 kind of suggestions that I have for you. So let's see, we have something on the Mentour Aviation app as well. Mentor, I know that you almost always use an autopilot during cruise, but do you ever take it off manually just for fun, or like give you something to do during long flights? In the cruise, no, because we're sitting so high up. And we're so close to both our high speed and our low speed stall when you're sitting at the optimum altitude that you don't want to be screwing around, making a mistake. And it's really not that fun to hand fly it straight forward and in level flight. All right. What we do, however, is that we try to practice hand flying as much as we can when we're in an airport that we know well. There's no obstacles around, there's no thunderstorm activity, there's very little VFR traffic and stuff like that. So basically at your home base on a good day, early in the morning or so, we try to disconnect and hand fly during the approach, which with the flight directors and all the other stuff that's helping there. All right, but why I'm saying that you have to think of when you do it is because the safety of the airline operation always goes first, right? You having fun is at the bottom of the list of things that are important. You being safe and making sure that the passengers behind you are safe, that's at the top. That's why automation is used so much. Not because we are bad pilots, it's because with the automation in, it's like a third crew member that handles basically the easy stuff, which is the stick and rudder, while we manage it. So both the captain and the first officer are looking at the situation, looking for potential threats. Might be gliding activity, might be VFR flights around, might be CB activity, it might be anything, really, that's about to go wrong, faulty clearance by an air traffic controller, anything like that. If we can take away the actual workload of flying the plane manually, will then frees up a lot of our capacity to monitor the situation, and that's why we're flying it with a lot with autopilot. And that's also why we have to choose the times when we disconnect it. So, like I said, somewhere where you really know the area, where there's no mountains around, no CBs and stuff like that, then we do it. I do it quite a lot because I'm a line training captain, and I'm working with cadets that need to train how to hand fly it, and they need to have the confidence that they can fly it manually. So I do it quite a lot. In my home base in Girona, but otherwise that's the reasoning behind people using the autopilot so much. It has downsides as well, I agree with that, but mainly automation has made the airline industry so much safer. Cool. See, there's no more questions on the super chat, guys. I see there's a lot of questions coming up on the normal chat. If you really want me to answer that, then use the super chat, guys, because there's just too much questions for me to see all of them. Cool, I'll continue on the Mentour Aviation app chat here, which I hope that every single one of you have downloaded. By the way, I'm going to be putting out another vlog today, right? I know that I've just released one on YouTube, but the newest vlog I'm going to make available inside of the app tonight. So if you don't have the app already, I would suggest you get it now, and it's going to be in there, obviously, completely for free. Now, let's see. See if there's any questions coming up here. Mentor, is there a training in simulator for complete hydraulic loss? Yeah, there is. It's called manual reversion in the Boeing. Boeing, the 737 I should say, is one of the last big airliners that have physical lines connected to the flight controls, which means that there is actually a pullers and lines going out connecting to the flight control. So if we lose hydraulics completely, we can fly just like we can fly a Cessna with hand manual power. However, as you might imagine, they are quite hard. All right, so flying the Boeing, the 737 in manual reversion takes a lot of muscle power. Sometimes you need to be both of you kind of acting as servos to the other, or you just take turns and do it, because if you're going to fly it for long, which you of course will not, it's going to be extremely tiring. And if you find yourself in a situation like that, you better find a nice long runway with a good ILS in good weather, very little crosswind, to get yourself down to, because it's probably one of the trickier things to do. Okay. During the whole type rating. And then obviously we practice loss of system A and loss of system B, because they both have some individual problems connected to them, like not being able to lower the gear normally, or not being able to extend or retract the flaps normally, but they can all be managed. But complete loss of hydraulics is extremely rare, but yes, we do practice it. Nuka, Lubert in the super chat, thank you very much, Nuka. Hi Mentor, do pilots know in advance what they will get from ATC, or do you really have to listen carefully to the taxi routes, for instance? Good question. This is something that I probably will start to talk about a little bit more in coming videos, but in most cases, especially in airports which are complicated, for example in Barcelona now, there are 3 different runways, there are hundreds of combinations of different taxiways. There are so-called standard routes, all right? So standard taxi routes. So you know approximately what to expect. However, there's always going to be changes on the day-to-day operation, because there might be crossing aircraft, there might be aircraft that are coming in ahead of you, or are going to use a runway or something like that. So yeah, we do know pretty much what we're going to get, but you have to still listen really carefully, because it might not be the same every time. And most of the time, its taxi clearance is like Mentor 360, turn left onto Sierra, continue on Sierra to Mike Sierra, hold short of Delta Sierra, something like that. And then the first officer will take that, because the captain is the one who is going to be taxiing on the ground. The first officer is taking that communication, writing it into the scratch pad, then we're checking the taxi routing, so we both agree with it, start taxiing, and if anyone at any point feel that they're unsure about where they are, well, in that case, then we will just stop and ask for further clarification, because it's really important that we know where we're taxiing. It's one of the things that are causing most problems on the airport, are people who are taxiing wrong, runway incursions, even ground collisions have happened because of that. So it's really, really important that we maintain sterile cockpit, for example, that we're not sitting there chit-chatting about stuff that we shouldn't be doing, just concentrating on making sure that we know where we are, even if we know the taxi route really, really well. Complacency is really is dangerous. If you're not thinking about what you're doing, how you kind of, if you're going to go and put the coffee on in the morning, you do that by default without even thinking, especially if it's early in the morning. It's the same with taxi. If you do the taxi route every single time the same, the one time that it's not the same, you're still likely to do the same unless you make it a habit of actually checking route every single time. So that's the answer for you. Andy Levy, I hope that's correctly pronounced. Thank you very much. Shout out from Jandakut. Thank you. In Perth, is single pilot operation and pilotless operation the way forward, and for the commercial aviation industry, and how soon? I actually did a video on this not too long ago. Go back and check on that. I think realistically that we will see single pilot operation within my lifetime in some airliners. But like I pointed out in that video, I think that even though the technology and the artificial intelligence might be here quite soon to do this, the legislation that it needs and the changes in infrastructure and changes in hardware, like actual aircraft, is going to take a lot of time. I am thinking 30 to 50 years before we can see pilotless commercial passenger aircraft. Cargo aircraft might go quicker, okay? There might be a complete revolution that I'm not aware of, but the way that it looks now, right? I've been working for 16 years, and the only real difference from how airline operations was run when I started to now is our nav operation. The rest is more or less exactly the same with just some fine tuning. It's very slow, okay? And something as radical as removing the pilots and redesigning aircraft in order, without the cockpit basically, because there's no need for it. That is going to take the time it takes to make an aircraft and certify it, which is 20 years. And then the airlines are going to want to buy it. It needs to be good enough, financially to actually change an existing aircraft. And a Boeing 737 MAX, for example, if that works just like the 800s, it will be in service for 30 years before its service life is out. So slowly, very slowly, it will happen. As everything, most of the jobs that exist today is not going to exist eventually. They're going to be gone. But in the airline industry, it goes very slowly because of the risk of lawsuits and because of the way that you have to get all the countries to agree on legislative changes. So don't worry. Louis Key, thank you very much. If you had a question for it, then send it in. I can't answer on Facebook, unfortunately, which I normally do, but go into the Mentour Aviation app and send me a message there. Or use that's actually better. Use the submit feedback. Okay, you go into the app and you go to the settings. There's a submit feedback thing that sends me a direct email. So if you have a question that is connected to SuperChat, then use that and I can answer it as an email. That's probably the best. Great, so let's take some more questions then from the Mentour Aviation chat as we're here. Mentor, when in cruise, why do you set bank angle to 10 degrees? Yeah, great question. That is a company procedure, okay? So that means that it's not a procedure that everyone, all of the Boeing operators do, but in my company, we actually do set it to 10 degrees, and the reason for that is that when the aircraft is flying in LNAV, it has bank angle protection, which means that it feels if we have increased G loads or if it's closing in on the performance limits. All right, I'll go one step back. When the aircraft turns, it needs more thrust, okay, to maintain the altitude. Flying level needs less thrust, but if you're banking it, it needs more thrust because it creates more drag. And the fact that it needs to maintain level and make a turn requires more thrust. When we're sitting up at really high altitude, we are thrust limited, which means that potentially if we would start turning more than a certain bank angle, we might not have thrust enough to maintain the altitude, and the aircraft would either stall or it needs to descend. Okay, when LNAV is connected, the lateral navigation mode, it feels that, and it feels, oh, I cannot really to bank that much because then I don't have thrust enough, and it reduces the bank angle. Heading select does not do that. Okay, heading select will just bank at the bank angle that is selected. So even if we put 25 degrees or 30 degrees, it will just bank with that no matter how much thrust it has available. So that was acknowledged a few years back that that could be a potential threat. So from that day, we started setting it to 10 degrees because 10 degrees is almost no bank angle, right? It's very, very little, and it doesn't create much drag at all. Hence, there's no risk. And as you see, this is how the airline industry works. We find a potential threat, we find a solution to the threat, and we implement it before something happens. Okay, that's the way we do it. So great question, by the way. I'm very observant to find it. So, right, I'll take something from the normal chat as well, from Has K here. Hi, Mentor, please do a GoPro day in the life of a pilot. And I can't. Unfortunately, that's it. I would have to get an approval directly from the chief pilot of my airline to take in any non-approved personal electronic devices, PEDs as they're called, into the cockpit. And we cannot, in any case, I probably wouldn't be able to film during sterile phases of flight unless I have someone who's actually doing it for me, who's not involved in the cockpit work. So it's very complicated, and if you think about it, when us, the pilots, we shouldn't be focusing on making great videos when we're flying. We should be focusing on flying. This is why when you see me doing vlogs, it's always when I'm sitting on the ground, because when I'm sitting on the ground, and if I have a couple of minutes in the turnaround, then I will be able to do it, and it hasn't got any kind of safety implication whatsoever. But if we're starting to talk about making videos inside of the cockpit while I'm actually flying, well, then that will potentially, I would probably be able to stock up GoPro somewhere and then forget about it, and it wouldn't have any complication. But other people wouldn't. Other people would be sitting there with their GoPros during approach and stuff, and that's not something we want. Okay, so no matter how much I would love to show you all of our actual procedures inside of the aircraft, which is what I know that you guys would love me to do, I just cannot at the moment. Not in my current airline, unless they say that, right, we're going to do this and we're going to do it together with someone who's going to professionally film this. Okay. Now you might have seen that there are some in-flight clips in my vlogs that I'm setting out. I've just posted a new vlog today. Those clips are actually taken using a approved electronic device that is fixed in the cockpit. Okay, that is just sitting there, and basically I haven't even touched it. It's just sitting in a fixed angle, and it's an improved part of the cockpit work. So that's different, and I'm only using like little snapshots in the cruise, for example. So that is why. Once again, there's nothing I would love more to do than to explain, like I'm doing in line training. I would love you guys to come on a line training day where I would explain, okay, so here we have the taxi routing, this is what we do. But realistically, that is going to be in the simulator. I'm going to have to do it in the simulator to show you how we do it and to explain every single step, because we cannot be endangering anyone. Not around us, not in our aircraft. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. Cool, let's see if there's any more questions on the super chat, guys. Then let's see, how long have we been going now? Half an hour. Great. I hope you guys are doing great as well. I really, really enjoy this. There's always some interesting questions that I haven't even talked about before. Right, so there seems to be someone who is spamming a little bit in the chat. We'll see. I think my friend Davey, who is my moderator here, is looking after that. Please don't do that, guys, because this is supposed to be good and fun for everyone involved. So ask any question. There's no stupid questions. You can ask whatever you like, but make sure that you respect the others and you don't spam, okay? Captain Samuel, have you heard that some people build their own aircraft? Yeah. Experimental aircraft, they're everywhere. Actually, I think experimental aircraft to a certain extent is probably the future of general aviation, because it's getting so expensive to build, or to fly the more conventional type Cessnas and Pipers, because of the higher oil price or the cost of aviation fuel. So I think that we'll probably see more experimental aircraft coming forward. And as long as they are properly built, following proper blueprints and properly checked out, they should be just as safe as any other aircraft, really. So I think it's really cool. And a big shout out, by the way, to all of you sim builders out there. I've been in contact a little bit with some people building their own home simulators, and the stuff that you guys make are amazing. I'm thinking of actually trying to find one or two of you guys and maybe go out and visit you guys. Do a vlog where I go and visit one of these sim builders and try out the sims that they've made. That would be really cool. As well as I'm really looking forward to go out and visit some flight schools as well and show their operations and things like that. So there's loads of stuff coming up in the channel. As long as you guys are enjoying it and you enjoy the stuff I'm doing, I'm going to continue to try to find new ways of making good content. Kartik Nakul, thank you very much in the super chat. I see you didn't ask a question, so I'm just going to say thank you for your contribution. And Kartik, you know how to reach me. Did you choose which type rating you want? Or can you choose? You can choose whatever type rating you want, yes. But I do not recommend you to just buy a type rating. I recommend you to only do a type rating when it's connected to an actual job proposal. Okay, don't buy a type rating because you're hoping to get a job on that specific type. In most cases, and I've covered this loads of times before, in most cases, guys, if you buy a type rating and it's not connected to a job proposal, then the type of operator that you're hoping for, like a Airbus 320 operator or a 737 operator, they will have in their operations manual a requirement of either they train the pilots themselves from scratch, and in that case they can take low-hour cadets, or the cadets who are joining with the type rating need to have at least 500 hours or 1,000 hours on type. So you can see what the problem is here. If you just buy a type rating and you buy the touch and goes, you're going to have like 2 hours on the type. Okay, that will not be enough for you to be employed. So you might have to end up buying the same type rating again in order to be approved to work as a low-hour cadet on that airline, or find 500 hours on the type somewhere, which means one of these pay-to-fly programs that I really loathe from the bottom of my heart. All right, so be very careful with that. Okay. Cool, Kartik. Hey, hope you're doing okay. Happy landings. Have a nice day from Kartik. Thank you very much, Kartik. Great to hear from you as well. Good. More questions then. Mentor, would you recommend going through an airline company to get your pilot license or get it through a flight school first? Like I've said before, when it comes to that question, if you have a firm proposal of a job, then you go with that. All right, even if it costs a little bit more money. If there is a firm job proposal at the end, that is very good, unless it costs an enormous amount of money. Because you can find training, you can find the same licenses for about 50 to 55,000 euro, okay, without a type rating. If that training costs 120,000 euro, well then maybe you should think about it, because it's a huge difference in price. And anytime you pay around 100,000 euros or so, you can expect to have to pay around 1,000 euros in interest rates and payback every month on the loan. So you have to factor that into your calculation when you're thinking about doing training that is that expensive. Can you afford it? Okay. Can the job that you're being offered pay your bills? It's a valid question if you're starting to pay those kind of money. It's like a house, So be careful. Do think with your brain and not with your heart when it comes to flight training. Maybe it looks really good to have that flashy school on your CV, and if that gives you a job, fair enough. But if it doesn't come with a job guarantee, well then maybe you'll pay half as much and have to pay half as much back in interest rate and in bank loan at the end of the training, and maybe then you'll be able to take a slightly less paid job, but still start to earn your flight hours and start to earn your progression in through this occupation. So there's many things that you have to think about, and that could potentially be a trap if you're not careful. Right, so Techno Joe, Mentor, I want to be a commercial pilot and have a few questions. Do you think joining a gliding club is worth it and trying to get a scholarship? I'm 12, by the way. Oh, great. All right, you're starting really early. You're starting even 2 years earlier than I started myself. Okay, joining a gliding school is a great way of understanding the basics of aviation. Meteorology, navigation to a certain extent. A lot of the basic subjects are covered during a glider course, so I do recommend you at a low age to start there. Otherwise, just use the time you have now to really focus on getting good grades in school, understanding math, physics, and start researching all of the schools that you want to see. Maybe there are scholarships available that you can look for. Maybe there are even government-sponsored programs. That's how I did it. I was focusing on finding a government-sponsored program, but since I started so early, I found one that I could work against, and finally I got through that, and I didn't have to pay for my own training. I did that in the government sponsored program, and that's because I started early. So good luck. It's great to see that you're here in the app and being active. There's people like you that all of the actual pilots who are in there, me, Ava, Flying Hande, all of the others, we love to help you guys. That's why the app was created in the first place. Nick Burgess, hi Mentor, I'm about to go for my PPL with the hope of building a career out of aviation. Any tips? Also, does the flight school equal lessons? Is it different? First of all, good luck. Great to see that you're starting. Yes, well, the flight school, depending on how you see it, you're probably paying for a license, and the license includes a number of lessons. Okay, you have to check very carefully how many lessons are involved, and also what happens if you need extra lessons, because it's quite usual that you might need a few more lessons than what's on the lesson plan if there's some part of the flying that you're struggling with. And in that case, you have to be very, very clear with the school how much that is going to cost you and what the buffer is, if there is a buffer, for example. So check that out. And yeah, the only thing I can say is congratulations and best of luck with your training, and keep me updated through the app. Just let me know when things like your first solo happens and stuff like that. It's always great to hear from you guys. Mentor, what is flex temperature? I would recommend you to go in and check out Captain Joe's excellent video on flex temperature. Okay, flex temperature is Airbus. That's what we call assumed temperature in the Boeing. It's a way to kind of fool the engines that to lower their output thrust. Something that we do to minimize both the wear and tear of the engines and the noise footprint around. Okay, so we check what the runway is, we check what the outside weather is, the conditions and everything, and then we derate the engines so that we can take off safely with the minimum available thrust. That way we sound less, right? We could take off with max thrust all the time, but that wouldn't be for any reasons, and it would wear on the engines really, really, a lot. So check out Captain Joe's video on flex temperature. It's really great. Basically, Captain Joe, he does really, really good videos when it comes to explaining technical parts of the aircraft. Okay, I do better videos when it comes to, not better than him, but I am better at explaining things like the soft skills of people. Procedures, why procedures looks the way they do. That is the strength of my channel, while his channel is his strengths are really, technical stuff, explaining exactly how things look the way they do and why they do, So I enjoy watching his videos. Mentor, how did you prepare your first interview and how did it went? Surprisingly, I didn't prepare much. I only got like 2 days before. They just asked me, can you please come to Holland in 3 days? And we just got going. I tried to find out as much as I could about the company and things like that. But then I was just answering truthfully and honestly. And I got through my first interview. So I got my first job. So yeah, it went well. But there are excellent places. And one thing that I would like you to... I'm actually working on a... I know that you guys have been asking about preparation for airline interviews and school interviews and stuff like that. And I found a company that I am likely to start cooperating with when it comes to this, who have been doing this for years and are really good at it. Check out airlineprep.co.uk. All right, they have an app as well. Soon they will have more apps for preparation. It does cost a little bit of money, obviously, because they need to keep it all up to date and relevant. And basically, anytime you find something for free in this industry, it probably lacks something. When it costs something, you have to check how much it costs, and if it costs something that is within reasonable limits, it is probably better. All right, and I'm not saying that because I want you to buy my stuff. Of course I do, but I mean that's just the way it is. They are doing great jobs. Okay, for preparing for flight school interviews, for example, and airline interviews, and they're much better at it than I am. And that's why when I don't know something, I tell you straight out. Okay, for example, people are asking me, what's the best way of writing a CV, and I haven't written a CV in 16 years. So there will be people that are much better than me in explaining these things and what to think about like group exercises and interviews and interview questions and things like that. So I will just be handing that over to them. Okay. Right, more questions. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit, guys, which means you guys who've been here for a while knows what that means. There's only a few minutes left before I have to go and start making the Sunday pizza for my kids, and I have to start, making up my bags and stuff as well, because I'm going to be bringing them to Barcelona tomorrow for my early shift, and then I am off for 2 weeks over Christmas. So that will be me going away to Sweden, hally-ho, with all the snow and everything. So I probably won't be that active over the Christmas period either. But of course, I'm here for you guys. I'm here in the Mentour Aviation chat. I'm going to hopefully get my phone so I can once again start answering questions on Facebook and stuff like that. But the vlogs will be starting to keep coming. So guys, just a poll now here. Do you like the vlogs? Just write yes or no. All right. And also, if you do like them, what should I improve? Here, the floor is yours. Right. I'll see here. There's a comment. Yes, there's the first yes. Yes, from yet two guys. Yes, good stuff. No, so Bryce doesn't like it. Okay, and there's Bryce didn't like anything, so he's been taken away. Bryce, what's up? I'm really curious about, because I'm always getting like 1 or 2 dislikes on my video, up to 5 or 10 sometimes, and I like getting kind of constructive feedback, but constructive, if something is wrong, I would love to hear what it is that I could improve, because just getting a dislike or getting a fuck you or whatever it might be is not really constructive. It doesn't help much, and I would love to know, what I could do to improve, basically. You should call up with Captain Joe. I always like them. To do mentor, what are puppy lights? Cool. Do you fly for Ryanair? I don't talk about my company ever. And pre-flight planning. I have made a video about pre-flight planning. Check that out. I did it not too long ago, actually. Bryce Lamb, change your face and voice. Is there anything in particular? You maybe want me to change my hairstyle? Something like that. Cool. Right. Okay, guys. So I'm getting loads of feedback here, which is really, really great. Sherry, Mentor, is a female pilot equivalent to male pilot? Yeah, sometimes even better. Most of the cases, actually, they're a little bit calmer and takes things in a slightly more, I would say, less emotional way. They are, most of the female pilots that I've been flying with have to be working harder than their male equivalents to get the job. That's unfortunately the truth of it. They are great aviators. So I've made a video about female pilots quite early in the history of the channel, where I just urge more girls to come in and go for this job, because I think they make excellent pilots, and I think it's good for the whole industry to get a more female perspective. At the moment, it's about 5% of all the pilots are being female, and you can see that on my channel as well. It's almost exactly 5%, both in the app, on the YouTube page, everywhere. So we would like that to go up to a much higher percentage than that. Cool. Ali, Bay Italy in the super chat. Have you ever thought about changing base? I have. And I have actually changed base on a number of occasions. I started in London Stansted, then I moved to East Midlands, and then I moved to Stockholm, Skavsta, and then recently I moved to Girona. And it's all been on my own initiative, and for different reasons. I've moved from Stansted to East Midlands to become an instructor. I moved from East Midlands to Sweden to come home, because I'm Swedish. And because there was an instructor job there needed as well. And I moved from Stockholm down to Girona because my wife is from here, and because we have helped them with the kids from her mother, which we didn't have in Sweden because my parents live far up north and not at all close to Stockholm. So it's always been made on my own initiative, and it builds you as a human. I think that every one of you guys, if you get a chance to move abroad and live somewhere else, you should take it, because it changes your perspective on things. You learn about new ways of of doing basically the same things. You learn of cultures, how they reason, stuff. It's been really interesting to move from Sweden, which is a nice, calm, civilized, no problems kind of society, down to Catalonia, where you have this kind of uprising against the Spanish, and why that is, and what the different sides thinks about things and stuff like that. So it's been extremely interesting to watch and to learn about, and that's basically the only thing that drives me forward is learning about new stuff. Right? I started this whole project because I wanted to learn about social media. I'm continuing it because I want to learn about building a company and building a brand and building everything that has to do with aviation. Help out aviation, see if I can have an impact. And I do believe that anyone who really wants to do something can have a positive impact. So that's what I'm doing right now. The only way to go forward, guys, is to learn something new. Daniel Bushinsky, sorry. Thank you very much for your support. He says, keep it up. Thank you. It's great to hear that you guys are appreciating what I'm doing. And I am going to kind of sign it off there, guys. I'm coming up to almost an hour. Hassan Ahmed, make them longer, the vlogs. Well, I don't think that longer than 5-6 minutes are suitable for vlogs, actually, because it's just not going to keep their interest. But we'll see. If something really interesting happens, then they will be longer. All right, I'll make them as long as I think that they need to be, depending on what's happened during the day. And Mentor, is it harder to fly in the snow? Yeah, it is. Winter ops makes everything much harder. Okay, de-icing, slippery runways, slippery taxiways, bad visibility, short holdover times, harder to board, colder for everyone involved, icing on inlets, you name it. Like flying in winter ops is about twice as hard as flying without winter ops. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. And that will be the final question. Guys, get into the Mentour Aviation app. I have a sale going on at the moment on the total collection, like the complete collection with all my instructional videos in there for less than the price of a Big Mac and Company. So get that today while the sale lasts, and go in there. I've also just put up the way I do it is I find some good documentaries, like a documentary that is featured today is about bad weather. And then what happens, like by bad weather has caused some accidents. And then I put the related training videos next to it. For example, how to do a Cat 3 approach and how to do a TCAS avoidance maneuver or a wind shear escape maneuver or something like that. So get into the app now. I hope you like it. And I hope you like the vlogs, and there are more vlogs to come. Wherever you are, all over the world, have a fun week, guys. I will see you in my next vlog.